Hi, I'm Kristina Billig. I was diagnosed in 2024 with invasive ductal carcinoma and also invasive lobular carcinoma.
Ready, go. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8.
So in 2024, right around kind of my 39th birthday, I had noticed a lump in my left breast, and I had also noticed some breast pain. And at the time, I had kind of blown it off a little bit and thought it was a fibroadenoma, which I had had in the past, just benign tumor. And so I set up an appointment with my OB/GYN just to have my normal physical, and went in, and she felt it and thought it was just maybe some fibrotic tissue, but just because, you know, she wanted to kind of give me peace of mind, she scheduled a mammogram and an ultrasound before my even 40th, birthday. And we went through kind of the routine of going in, getting all of that done, still thinking it was going to be nothing. From the scans, they did suspect that there was potentially cancer, but still undetermined at that time. And so they had scheduled a biopsy. The biopsy ended up coming back that it was in fact cancer. It was invasive ductal carcinoma and invasive lobular carcinoma. We ended up scheduling a mastectomy just on the left side. And at that time, again, we still only thought it was the lump. We had done an MRI a little bit before my mastectomy, and they showed that the lump was a little bit bigger than they had originally thought, but still only like 3.5 centimeters at that point, and that there was maybe a little bit more scattered cancer throughout the breast tissue. All of my lymph nodes at that point, everything showed clear. They weren't concerned with anything, and we were still moving forward with a mastectomy in September of 2024. About a week before my mastectomy surgery was scheduled, I had a hard lump show up right on the side of my rib cage out of nowhere, just popped up overnight. And I went into the radiologist and they scanned it, and she looked at me and she said, this one is concerning to me. At the time, I kind of paused. Things were just kind of happening very quickly. And she said, we can do a biopsy and see if it is in fact cancerous or if it's something else. I had told her I wanted to talk to my breast surgeon first. And I called my breast surgeon, and we decided, during my mastectomy surgery, I was already planning on having a couple of lymph nodes taken out. And they were gonna just, do a standard test just to make sure. We had decided, since that was already scheduled, we were just gonna move forward with the mastectomy. The radiologist said, everything else still looks good. It looks like it's only one lymph node, and, just to kind of give me a little bit of peace of mind. While I was under for my mastectomy surgery, they took out the first few lymph nodes, and in those, unfortunately, they found cancer in all 3 of them. So kind of mid-surgery, I guess, they switched while I was under to an auxiliary lymph node dissection, where they removed the majority of your lymph nodes on the left-hand side. And when I finally got pathology back after that, during my recovery for mastectomy, I had kind of waited a little bit for the results. And in the meantime, I was meeting with my oncologist, and we were kind of scheduling a plan. And the plan was that, because I had some lymph node involvement, we were gonna start a harsh chemo plan, and that was scheduled to start the following week. The Thursday before my chemo was supposed to start, I remember getting a call from my oncologist, and he called when my husband and I were outside with our kids, and it was kind of late in the evening, and he said, Tina, I'm sorry to tell you this is the only time I'm going to use this word, but the cancer has spread and you are considered stage 4. My world and our world turned upside down in that one call. We went from, middle of July thinking that we were dealing with stage 1 breast cancer, which in and of itself was a big diagnosis to kind of swallow, and it turned 3 months later from that PET scan result into no, it had in fact spread to my spine, to some of my lymph nodes in my chest, and what we later found was also kind of in my skull of my in my skull and also in my neck. So it was all bone involvement, but it had in fact metastasized. I don't think there's anything that can prepare you for that, especially when you're 39 years old. You're told from statistics that breast cancer typically doesn't even happen in women under 40, and here you are dealing with the only type of breast cancer that will likely take your life at some point. Dealing with that and having 2 young kids right there who were so unaware of what was going on, and my husband who just broke down, and our kids had no idea what was going on. It was a very, very tough moment. Since then, I guess because it became stage 4, or was stage 4 right from the beginning, my oncologist said, we are canceling chemo and we are putting you immediately on a maintenance plan. And that maintenance plan was a combination of Verzenio, which is a daily, technically people will call it a chemo pill, but it's targeted therapy. I go in for monthly shots of Faslodex. And at the time I was also having ovary suppression, which I later just had an oophorectomy to put me into menopause. Getting put into menopause at 39 and having 2 young kids, not quite fun, but I'm willing to do it to try and fight, all of this. I think the hardest part is continuing to just go on as if nothing has happened. I'm continuing to work, I'm continuing to, parent the way I was, I'm continuing to, be a wife, and kind of, it's almost like cancer gets thrown in your way, but you're still forced kind of back into your life and to kind of manage through it. The hardest thing with the kids for me has been the thought of not being there for them at some point. I think that's been the thing that's eaten me the most and has had me have those moments of like, I'm fine, and then I totally break down, because the thought of leaving them and not being there for them, or not being there to, help my daughter when she's a teenager, be there for their weddings, or, their kids. Statistics are not on our side, but we know that medicine is getting better, and we're continuing to fight to just keep kicking that can down the road till new medicines and things are found. But the thought of, I have 4-year-old twins, and the thought that, even in 15 years, they're only going to be 19 and graduating high school. I would love to be here for 15 years, but I really would love to be here for 40 more years to see all of those milestones. So I think that's the hardest thing. Being a part of this is important to me, just to be able to share my story. I think, again, statistically, there's a lot of facts and information out there that, especially with breast cancer, that it doesn't happen to younger women. And this has kind of been a blessing in disguise, but the thing that's helped me through this is the connections I've made through local support groups, where unfortunately it's been a lot of younger women. And the stage 4 women that I have met have been young moms just like me. And so to be able to spread that awareness and get it out there that this is not a disease of just older women, it affects younger women, it affects men. You can never be too healthy, you can never be too on top of, taking care of yourself, you can never be too young. Like, it doesn't discriminate. Like, cancer can affect anybody and everybody, and to just have that awareness, and also just to be more aware of our bodies and to question and push for things when something feels off.